Well, hello everyone and welcome to Cuppa.tv. It is Cookie here and I'm so grateful to be on the couch with Petra today, and we're going to be welcoming in Petra very, very soon. But have you ever walked out of a meeting and thought, why didn't I say that? I don't know, I have. I've done that plenty of times. Or you've had an idea or you knew what to say but you didn't know how to say it. Well, today we're going to be talking about your confidence and how you can build that confidence in your career, in your workplace as a leader. There is no bigger topic of conversation right now, I believe, than being able to stand up for what you believe in and what you want to say in the workplace. So I can't wait to welcome Petra, who's sitting me nodding. This is the first time we've ever done like a little joint little thing here. Sun is shining behind us here in Barangaroo in our collab. But before I kick it off, I do want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connections to lands, water and community. I pay my respects to them and to their cultures and to the elders, both past, present and emerging. Well, today we are joined by Petra Williams, a leadership and communication coach who helps people lead confidently, speak clearly and navigate challenges with grounded emotional intelligence. With a background in law and advanced training in shadow work, Petra blends deep inner work, which we all need, believe me, we all need, with highly practical tools to help leaders communicate honestly, navigate conflict, and show up calm authority. Now, Petra's originally from Europe, and I'm so glad you're here now in Sydney. You're new to the Cuppa Collective community, which is great as well. But you really do help leaders stop shrinking. And I'd love for you to just be able to share your story a little bit more about how you've got to this point to be able to support so many.
Thank you. Well, hello. It's great to be here. And my story is really the culmination of who I am and what I do is what I do today. And probably as many other people in helping professions, it started with my own issues, my own healing as well. And I'll talk a lot about outgrowing the good girl. For men, it's usually outgrowing the nice guy.
Yep.
And it's because I was the biggest good girl you would know. I was the goody two shoes. I wanted to be the super responsible one, the sensible one, the reliable one, to the point that my mom even says that she didn't even notice it when I was in puberty.
Really?
Yep. Because I was so in line, or at least trying to be someone that I thought I should be. And the people pleasing ran really deep, and suppressing my anger and my negative emotions ran deep, to the point that I even got engaged and married for the first time because I didn't want to hurt my fiance's feelings.
That sort of resonates with me a lot as well, being a people pleaser. Even though you know intrinsically in your gut that it might not be the right decision, even in those big moments of saying yes and going through with it, to not follow the gut instinct, to not follow the inner work, that resonates a lot.
Well, because we're so smart.
Yeah, of course we are.
Because you can explain yourself, right? I remember telling myself, it makes sense, right? So that's why how I actually started working beyond just the mindset work, because it needs to run deeper. It needs to run on the emotional level and in the body, because the mind is so powerful. You can explain to yourself anything. You can convince yourself to go in any path, go down any strategy, and it can all work. The question is at what cost?
Yeah, because every action has a reaction, right? And
100%.
And sometimes that reaction does take many years. But if it's not intrinsically coming from a place of your own inner wisdom, then you're going to have these gaps, and these gaps will appear over time.
Yes. And also I want to say that it's okay.
Yes, of course it is. It's a learning journey.
Absolutely. It's the journey. We need to have a ton of compassion for ourselves. And I also believe that the journey never really ends. There's this, one of my favorite psychiatrists, he wrote a book in his late 80s, and he was still active. And he worked in the field of personal development and psychiatry for his whole life and contributed heavily to it. And in his biography, he was describing a dream that he had in late 80s, right? He woke up and said, in that dream, I was a little boy and I drew a drawing and I wanted to show it to my mom, like go to ask for that validation, like look at what I drew. And she didn't have the time to look at it or just dismissed it, waved at it. And he felt that hurt. And he said himself, even after 50, 60 years of working on myself and feeling pretty grounded and calm, there's still a part of me that is that little boy wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel accepted and validated by his mummy.
Wow. Well, let's get in the conversation today. But before that, so you've arrived here in Australia. You
Nearly
work with
7 years ago.
Yeah. So, but over in Europe, you're helping out teams, you're helping out individuals navigate this journey of their inner wisdom and inner confidence. You also reference that many people stay small in their world. What does that actually look like in every day? Like why? Because there is a lot of people just doing what they do without having the confidence for their own voice to be able to get it out.
This is a great question because it just when someone stays small, maybe the first image that comes to your mind is someone who's really not very confident.
Yeah.
Right? A shy person just down there. But actually what I talk about are the people that I work with who are very capable, very smart, usually successful in their own right, in their career. And it's about those little moments. For example, I worked with a CEO. This was a female CEO in otherwise a full male C-suite.
Yep.
She was co-founder of a tech company. And she said, during those meetings, there were moments when conflict arises, right? The men start raising their voices. And in that moment, it didn't matter that she was in a powerful position. It didn't matter how clever she was. She said, I just wanted to shrink, hide. And if I could, I would run away from that moment. And she said, that's not the CEO I want to be, right? I want to be able to take the reins and navigate that conversation and calm it down. And that's the inner work that I talk about, that when she was able to do that, then suddenly she said, oh, I actually didn't freeze anymore. I don't want to shrink. I feel steady, calm, and I naturally know what to say.
It's a process. And I'm guessing what you're talking about today is like a learning muscle, right? The more we practice it, the better we get, the stronger we feel.
Yeah.
What are some of the most other common struggles that you usually see from people that are coming to you or workplaces coming to you? Like, what are some of the things that you regularly see?
Well, the first thing is this shrinking under pressure, for sure. And it comes up especially when the stakes are high, or we feel like the stakes are high, when you're either presenting to your boss's bosses or that board or whatever feels like a big opportunity, and it feels like this one presentation will make or break my career.
Yeah.
Or when that win is really close, you feel like, oh, it's been going so well now, I don't want to mess it up. And the second thing is that we don't trust ourselves in these moments. So
why is that, do you think? Is it because we don't feel like we have the knowledge to be able to?
It's very, very unusual that it would be a knowledge problem.
Okay.
It's, usually you are there because of your knowledge, right? It's not a coincidence that you are in that room with these people. It's absolutely that sense of self-consciousness and that we just want to make sure that whatever you say, whatever decision you make, whatever proposal you put forward will be accepted. It's coming back to that need of being safe and being accepted, which is our basic need. And it makes sense, right? Because when we were little, there was a very long period of time when we wouldn't survive without being safe and accepted. That's why it runs so deep. That's why you can be highly capable and highly successful thanks to being a people pleaser. Because being a people pleaser also means that you know how to fulfill expectations, that you know how to over deliver, that you're happy to be there, that you're happy to offer value, lend a helping hand. So it has a lot of benefits for you. That's why we do it. Everything we do is in our benefit. The problem is when it stops being beneficial because it's too much. You've pulled the pendulum too much to that extreme of over accommodating other people rather than actually staying steady, trusting yourself, because then you can't, only when you're steady and trust yourself, you can make decisions that might be uncomfortable, that might be challenging. And this happens the higher you grow in your leadership, whether you're a leader in a corporation or a founder of your own company. It comes with more and more pressure that we put on ourselves. So it's about that steadiness and self-trust in those particular moments. Because when we over accommodate and fulfilling others people's needs, you will always be so busy doing that. That's one of the biggest problems that people come with to me as well, is that they've built something and it looks great, and they even have other people being jealous of their life or career because it looks so shiny, and it just doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel like the life I want to live. It's and then we tell ourselves, but I should be grateful, right? It's true. You can acknowledge your privilege, acknowledge your life and all the goodness that you have, and still feel like this doesn't feel aligned, is the word we tend to use these days, right?
Can I just talk about that? Because I know where my people pleasing came from. And it came from when my dad passed away when I was 4. And I never wanted to let my mum down post that, right? How much of it is a human component versus a trauma component, do you think? Or is it, or there is no way to match it? Like each individual has their own use case of people pleasing. It's a big question.
I think that, it's a great question. And thank you very much for sharing. Because some people have what we would classify like that event that you went through is a big T trauma. Right. And some people have their own versions of big T trauma. And all of us have our own little versions of small T trauma. Right. Because it's almost funny, but not. It doesn't really matter if something truly tragic happened to you at the age of 4, or simply many times you didn't get the toy that you wanted, or you were told not to speak up. Children are meant to be seen, not heard. It's the culmination of all of it. The question, how much is nature, how much is nurture, is, I believe, impossible to answer exactly, because it's not even the event itself.
No.
Right? It's also your own personality, how you translate, how you interpret circumstances. That's why we all have different memories of the same event. So it's always both. And I don't even care about the event that much, as I care about your reaction and interpretation of it. When you say, so I never want to disappoint. And if you feel like, I never want to disappoint, then that's the programming that will come up, no matter at what level of leadership you are. One of my things, for example, is that I need to get things right.
Right.
I need to get it right, because for me, school was easy. Achieving great results was easy. That was the only thing that I was ever praised for. I was never, ever praised for effort. And so it's this, everyone we have our own flavor of that people pleasing, of that perfectionism that holds us back. Why we don't just do courageously whatever we feel like, say what we actually want to say, and show up innocently, really.
And it's a conditioning of society, right? Like, so a lot of the times at school, don't put your hand up, like don't talk. You get into the workplace, you got to earn your stripes. You got to get to you haven't been here long enough. Or when you're in a new leadership role, you listen to me, follow me instead of doing your own. And I remember when I was sales director of a media organization, I remember that I really replicated my boss's style to my teams. And that was a very hard-ass approach. Like it was, these are the targets, let's go, without nurturing the individual or even listening to what they said sometimes, their own values, their own voice. And I learned that the hard way because it burnt me out. It ended up burning me out because I was trying to be someone else. You must see that a fair bit in the people that you coach.
Yes. And the thing is, on the societal level, when we want to talk about that, in our Western society, the number one emotion that's suppressed and labeled as negative is anger. So in all of us, and specifically women even a little more, there are particular traits and emotions that are labeled as negative, such as ambition, don't be too ambitious, wanting more, right? Directness, that looks aggressive, that is, overbearing and domineering. So it's these parts of ourselves that we've learned to suppress to function in the society that we then need to look back into, because the more you become an integrated person, just like you've learned that, actually there's a balance between, being a complete people pleaser and being like direct as hell.
Yeah.
There needs to be a middle ground. And the more you integrate all of these parts, the clearer you are, the calmer you are, the more groundedness, the better leadership.
For those that don't know what shadow work is, like what is shadow work? Is it about that inner work? And how do you help someone understand where their shadows are?
Well, that's a great question and a big one. But to put it simply, shadow work is about integrating parts of ourselves that we've learned to suppress.
Get it?
How do you know what you suppressed? Because that's the question. It's not a coincidence that it's in our subconscious or unconscious, right? That means you don't know. The easiest way to find out is what triggers you. What triggers you in others. What do you feel like, that's, to this, to that. I could never do that. I would never want to. It's when we think, I don't want to come across the wrong way. You think, how do I not want to come across as? And all of those things. It's a big, long list, what we have in our shadow. Carl Jung was the first one who used that term simply for everything that we are not conscious of. Right? Because when we first are born, we can do anything, show any emotion. Just like I like it often to the fact that we can learn any language, right? When you start. And then over time, you shrink in that sense, because you are told, this is not a nice part of you.
Yeah.
Don't be stingy, don't be selfish, sharing is caring, all of these lovely things. So that's how we start suppressing. And we create what is called a persona, the part of you that you want to show off as, this is how I want people to perceive me, and the shadow, which is always there, never going anywhere, but you don't want it to be true, to the point that you wouldn't even say, I am like that.
If I was to phase this out around how you would help someone, is the first part to work on the shadow, because you can't move forward unless you tackle the shadow first?
No. It's how, for me, I see there are 5 different paths to transformation. Right?
Yep.
You can work on that unconscious level.
Yep.
So that it feels like I have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. I always either procrastinate, sabotage myself. What is that? And that's what you work on. You work on that emotional level, because there's always that emotional residue from our past, and things that we want to, like past failure, for example.
Yeah.
You need to integrate that past failure in order to not, project it onto your future. There's that behavioral side of things. So literally, as you said, we want to build more confidence. There's always stuff that you do on your inner work and outer. And that's why it blends so beautifully when you also work with your body somatically, because what happens is that, internally you have an insight, you process it emotionally in your body, all that, which allows you to, for example, speak up in that meeting.
Yes.
With less tension.
Yeah.
Right? It might still be a little uncomfortable, but now you're able to do that step. Right? So it requires that micro courage moment. And what happens is, once you did it, it's like those new neural pathways are now reinforced. And then you trust yourself a little more next time. So then, I can set a boundary without over-explaining. And you do it because that inner work supports you. And that's how you get from a vicious cycle into a good spiral upwards.
Love it.
And it's different with everyone. That's what I wanted to say. For some people, mindset work is amazing. For people who live a lot in our heads, which many of us are,
do, yeah.
It's fantastic to be able to work through your body. It's our emotion. It's like a back door to that, to releasing what needs to be released, so that you can just go on and play full out.
What are the big red flags that leaders always do that shrink people down?
I think one of the biggest things, it says for parenting, it's very similar than for leadership. Like for leadership, because the biggest gift you can give your children is your own personal development. And it's the same with leaders, because when you as a leader are steady, calm, and grounded, then the way you communicate with your people is clear, direct, not loaded with unnecessary emotion, but you're open enough to have conversations. They feel safe with you. They trust you. So the red flags would be if you haven't done much of that, and you might be easily triggered or very frustrated, very driven by your own shadows, because that's the problem.
Yeah.
We are motivated by our own shadows.
Yes.
And so if you show up in a strict way, we just need to be strict, but in a very particular way only, and only this is acceptable. And just like your boss in that
the way I was.
It's like this is the one thing, like my way or highway. This is it. Then it's less likely that people will talk to you openly, will come to you with their challenges, and then it's harder to create that environment and culture where they can also collaborate through that sense of trust and ease, because that's what we want, right? We want the communication to flow, so that emails are not held back, right? So that everyone actually responds to you, so that they are naturally motivated to produce the good results. That happens when they feel like they can trust you, that they are behind you, they want to follow you.
It's really interesting right now because workplaces are really struggling around this whole disengagement and actively disengaged workforce. Productivity is at an all-time low. The workplace challenges have never been so high. The pressures on the leaders have never been so high. So we're in this like melting pot of humanity, I suppose, in many aspects, but definitely within workplaces. It feels like that the ability to empower people to have the confidence to feel like they're worthy of their voice inside workplaces, and to be able to give leaders the right tools and techniques to be able to support those individuals is never more critical. Now, you've launched a leadership confidence program or workshop.
Yes.
What's in part of that program that you developed?
Well, that method really, the way I love to work, which is, just to preface it all, is very experiential.
Yeah, which I love too.
And because the thing is, experience is one, non-transferable, and it creates the actual change in the moment, right? You can't forget it. So I don't love and support like a lot of notes. Take as many notes as you want, but I know you will never look at them again. Right? I know the piles of notes that I have from workshops that I've done, and when do you really ever go back? But the thing is, first, what we need to do is to reveal how it is that you want to show up. What is that identity? Because generally, again, the people that we work with are smart. Right?
Yeah, they are. So
what you want. You know what that looks like. You probably even saw it in other leaders or in your role models. So it's like, okay, there's clearly a gap between how I want to show up and how I want to feel, and how I want to be able to speak and make decisions. The question is, what do I need to release? It's really the process of unlearning in order to be able to then show up in that way, or make steps closer to that. So that's why we also mentioned earlier that it's not the knowledge gap.
No,
you've read the leadership books, you've learned the strategies, you've listened to the podcast, you've been there, done the T-shirt, all that, and it's really about learning to be that person. So that inner work is what enables you to use all those strategies. And that's what enables you to have the guts to say the hard thing when it needs to be said, even if your voice is shaking, even if you're sweating, whatever that discomfort is. But rather than freezing or not doing it at all, or just lurking in hesitance, you actually go and do the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's how we grow. That's what happens then. So that's what I encourage and facilitate in those workshops, is situations outside of your comfort zone that are sometimes physical and sometimes mental or emotional, where you actually reach deep into that capacity of your own. Because I can motivate you from down to dusk and just be telling you like how awesome you are and you can do this and you have the capacity and you're fantastic in your wholeness, and it doesn't mean anything to you. It can make you feel good in that moment.
In the moment, yeah.
But it won't change anything to you unless you actually find out and prove to yourself that there's more in you than you thought there was.
And then from a leader's perspective, is it about, if we're going to be the best mentor / coach that we can be as a leader, is it about then putting people into more of those situations where they build that confidence, or is that not the right approach?
Well, that's a fantastic question. I think this is a very specific and case by case,
depending on where people are at.
Yeah, exactly. Because you only know what kind of people you work with, right? You know how much you can stretch their comfort zone or not. And some people really like harsh feedback, direct. And some people need a lot of cuddling and reassurance that everything's fine. It's just this one thing. So it's more about you as a leader, how connected you are to yourself, so that you can be connected to your people and what they need. And then you can, like, from that moment, from that place, you can make the right decision. But not from the place where you're frustrated or drained. Like, there's just so much work to do. They never deliver. They never do as they ask. Like, why don't they talk normally to each other? So when you're still in that triggered space, then you'll only take action that can take you so far, right? Because people can tell when you talk to them. That's also the difference. If we talk about how not to stir conflict, or how a leader shouldn't start conflict, how to say the hard things.
Yeah.
It's not about the words you say as much as how you say it. Because the more you are, again, calm and grounded, then you can say just directly and honestly and simply, this is how I think we should do it. Or this doesn't work for me. Or whatever it is that the hard thing is. But the key is not to load it with the emotion.
I was going to say, because the emotion part of it, like, you can see things escalate so quickly.
Yeah.
And then it goes off on tangents.
Exactly. So when you actually can stay calm, and that comes naturally through your voice, through your body language. Like, there's so much in communication that we are not that much in conscious control of. That's why it needs to be from the inner work, because you simply can't control all of your facial muscles and think of your posture all the time. So it needs to come from you. And when you can stay calm in that moment, that's a power move.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to ask you, I've got 2 questions for you.
Okay.
You've come from the Europe background, right? And you've come here to Australia. Is there much difference to how you're feeling people are? And this might be a straight down the line answer, but there's a part of me that goes, are we a bit too soft in this country? Or is that not the right word?
I wouldn't call it soft specifically, but, and it might be a bit, some people may feel that it's unfair to make generalizations.
Yes.
But we can just speak in general terms.
100%.
The difference is really interesting, because in Australia, and what I feel like it's so nice when you first come here, I found that people are so nice.
Yeah.
They're just really nice. They start a conversation with you anywhere. You're just waiting for a coffee. Someone tells you their life story, which is generally really interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So that is really nice, and it's that tendency to be positive and speak about positive things, and that feels really good. The problem to that, so the shadow of being positive, is that they will tell you like everything's good.
Yeah.
And especially at this day and age, many people have read those books, like you said, so they know the right thing to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, they will nod to you and say, yes, you're right, conflict is good. Yes, we just need to navigate it in this way. Yes. But if you see the day-to-day,
yes,
that's not what it looks like.
Okay.
Versus Slovakia, where I'm from, people are generally frustrated a lot with life or the government or just many other things, and they don't mind complaining.
Yeah.
Right. So it can come across as more negative.
Yeah.
Definitely much more direct.
Yeah.
Definitely much more direct and honest. And that's the benefit of it. That actually, from the complaining, I at least know what we need to work with.
It's so important because otherwise you can, like, the direct and open conversations regularly can allow you to move forward in any way. Like a no is the second best answer than a yes, versus procrastination, versus perfectionism, versus all these other areas, and that's the stagnation that we'll feel if we don't have more direct communication or ask for what we want or whatever that may be. So,
and it's really admitting that there is also this negative part to it. That doesn't mean that there's nothing positive about it, but just admit also, and this really sucks, right? The difference is, when I was talking to someone the other day, and she was saying, I'm just so very grateful. I'm just too grateful to have big goals.
Right.
And I say to her, well, then you're either complacent or settling or something, right? Because gratitude as such is positive. It's like too much love will kill you. Too much love will not kill you. No. Pure love will not kill you. Dependency may, codependency may, like it's that extreme. And just like gratitude, purely positive energy, right? Beautiful. And you can be grateful and strive for more at the same time. So that's the like harsh truth. And I used to train radical honesty as well. I love the quote, honesty saves everyone's time.
So true.
It's hard. I know it's hard.
Yeah,
I've
very
had
hard.
those conversations. And it really just propels our life forward. It's the thing that allowed me to up level and really be so grateful with the life that I have now. But it's about how much effort you're willing to put in, how much discomfort you're willing to face. And that's why it's much safer to do the work with someone like me, who can hold the space for you and guide you on the path, because the end of the path is always light. Yeah. That's the thing, because when we shine the light on something that was in the shadow, it's not in the shadow anymore. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's what some people are worried about, that, we'll just talk a lot about the negativity and the like unpleasant stuff, and it will be all like very uncomfortable. And yes, it'll be uncomfortable for a while, but then it will be so much nicer and so much better. So it's just like, when in an emotional wave, naturally science proved that if we allow ourselves to just feel an emotion, rough, raw as it is, it doesn't take longer than 90 seconds.
Wow.
So if you've experienced an emotion for longer than 90 seconds, which I bet we all have, that means we're thinking it into existence. So it's this ability to face yourself with all that you have, all those thoughts, all those emotions, which will make you a more calm, steady, and integrated human. And from that moment, it's so much easier to then make shifts that you want in your life, whether that's leadership, whether that's business, whether that's personal life. But that's the level that it comes from.
So if someone's watching today and they're going, oh, yep, that's me. Like, what would be one simple thing that they could do, maybe in their next meeting or maybe in something that starts them on this journey?
Okay. If they're right in that moment, they can take what I call a 3-breath reset.
Okay.
So in the first breath, you take the first breath in and you just ground yourself in your body. You feel the feet on the ground, right? Just break the patterns of the thoughts, which is with one breath, that's enough. Ground yourself back in where you are. With the next breath, from that more calm moment, because as soon as your exhale is longer than your inhale, your parasympathetic nervous system turns on. Right? So it doesn't take long, really, to switch the narrative. So with the second breath, you ask yourself, what did I really want to say? And let that truth come out in that moment. And with that third breath, you take that micro courage moment. And maybe it just means that you'll raise your hand. Maybe it just means that you say, excuse me. Okay, say something, and then you can say it. Or maybe it actually means you say no, you send the email, you hit post, you hit publish. So whatever it is, in that moment, when you ask about something very, very practical and specific, in that moment, that would be it. It always starts with that grounding first.
It's such a beautiful point to really hit home on, because it also helps for people to just realize exactly what they're trying to say. Because I know, and this is where the leadership component really needs to tie into it as well, because we've got this, I've worked with him for many years. His name's Oscar Trimboli. He's a deep listening expert. I hate talking to him because he's so good at listening, because he gets at the core of it too. But he said that, you speak at 150 words a minute, but you think at 900 words a minute. So as a leader, when someone's trying to voice their something in a meeting, most of the time we just shut them down after their first 150 words. But words like, I'm guessing this is what you coach as well, but tell me more, or why is that so? Or, getting them to extend beyond, or that sounds interesting, can I add on to that? Or can we explore that? Giving them the confidence, because I feel that we're just too easy to shut people down because we've got our own opinions.
And that's it. That is exactly the point. For as long as you come from your ego mostly, first and foremost, it's me. In that meeting, in the moment, that's when you shut them down. That's when you start speaking as soon as they stop, because you feel the opportunity to shine again as yourself. But as I'll say it again, the more integrated and calm you are within yourself, you don't have the need to outshine, and you feel confident enough to offer that space for silence, to offer that space for deeper insight, to offer space to others, really. And because it's not to your detriment. You know that when other people do great work, that doesn't take anything away from you. Quite the opposite.
No, totally.
Right? We can build something even better together.
Before we finish up the show today, what have we missed? Like, what is the one thing that you want people to realize, either about themselves or maybe about the business that they're working in, or maybe the team that their environment they got? Like, what have we missed that you need to make sure that people land with today?
If there's one thing that I want you to remember, it is that the more of you become, the better leader you become. And the more of you, I say, because you are an amalgamation of all of your parts. So, because we are very quick at judging ourselves, especially when you're high achieving, when you have high standards for others, you also have high standards on yourself. And again, there's a gift to it, because you're improving and you're delivering very well. And if it's too much, then it is to your detriment. So you need to be able to see the opposite. And that's where my work comes in, so that you can actually say, you know what, I'm both. I can be aggressive when I need to be in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, in a productive way.
Yeah.
And I can be calm. And it's up to me when I use these parts of me, when I use these traits, depending on how the situation requires it. And that's you being in that confident and sovereign leadership. That's you making a conscious choice. And you don't hang on to, I need to show up this way or I need to show up that way. And that's what NLP teaches as well, right? Neuro-linguistic programming. It's about flexibility. Whoever has the highest flexibility wins the conversation. And that's what I believe all of personal development is about. It's really about how to become the you that's always been there.
Yeah. What a beautiful thing to finish up on today. Everyone, please give a wave of gratitude to Petra in the chat rooms. And make sure that you do check out Petra's profile. So let's just bring that up for a second, because Petra is new to our community. This is the first time she's appeared here at Cuppa. So make sure that you check out her profile. Sorry, just bringing it up now. Can't find me arrow, Cookie. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. So yeah, make sure you do check out Petra's profile. If you want to message Petra directly, I'll put a link in the chat room. We'll also send it out in the post-show notes, but you can pick Petra's brain, which is amazing. Even if you just want to book a connection call or message her directly, there's more about her and more about her services that she's willing to connect. So do check that out. Petra, if there is a parting comment, especially to those good girls out there, what would that be before we finish up today's show?
Outgrow it. Just outgrow it, because it was so good and it's great for you to be able to. And there's a time to be a good girl, and there's a time to be a I don't know.
Insert your own words around that, everybody. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for tuning in to Cuppa today. Sorry about the sunshine. The world has changed over because of the daylight savings ending and all that type of stuff coming up. So yeah, thank you so much, Petra, for being a part of Cuppa.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'm glad that a few of our clients are pricking their ears now and going, oh, I'm interested to hear more. And yeah, can't wait for more moments like this to occur and more moments within our community. So again, everyone, make sure you do check out Petra's profile and be engaged with us at Cuppa. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't joined our community to see all the other shows, it is a free community. We're all building something, well, we're building something around human connection. We want to have more of these moments, whether it's with our experts in person or through these virtual events. Please make sure that you join Cuppa.tv. But that is it today. Thank you, Petra.
Thank you.